For the ones who get going when the going gets tough. And the ones who know we're tougher together. For the Pathfinders breaking new ground. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as fast access to experts and 24/7 customer support. Because we know you have people depending on you. So you can always depend on us. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to round 3 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of April 26th. I'm Nicole Erdix, and I'm here with Terry Morrow.
Hello.
And Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
We're moms of teens and young adults, and when it comes to parenting, we've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. But we're still waiting for that day when we'll reach the finish line and have no further need to lay down in a dark room with a wet rag over our eyes worrying about something or other. Wednesday is Complaint Day here on Parenting Roundabout, and today we are complaining about all that worrying. And how come we are doing it alone?
How come?
How come? Why does it always seem like I'm the only one worrying? There's an article in the New York Times recently on women and the domestic work, the mental load, the cognitive labor that we take on.
Yeah.
Not so much the physical labor, but we also take on that cognitive labor. So, Catherine, I'll throw it over to you, and you can give us a breakdown of the article, since you were able to get around the paywall.
I thought this was interesting. It was a sociologist who published a paper, and she talked about this mental load or cognitive labor that women tend to do. And she talked about it in 4 steps. So there's anticipate. So basically like, I'll take an example from my world. The kids' passports have expired. Mm-hmm. So they need to be renewed. Identify. Okay. What are the steps? Like, we have to make an appointment at the post office, for them. Mm-hmm. Decide, that doesn't really apply in this case, but it would be like, decide, which babysitter to hire, or which summer camp to take your kids to, or
where to go to get passport pictures.
Yeah, where to get passport pictures. Just making decisions regarding whatever this issue is that you're working through. And then monitor, like, okay, we made the appointment, now we need to go, and we need to make sure we have all the paperwork in advance. And then when we get there, we need to have the appointment and then make sure that we actually receive the passports in the mail and, follow up if we don't. And so anyway, it was this research that this person did. She talked about how in those 4 steps, anticipate and monitor are the ones that women are always doing. So like always being the one to notice that something needs to be done. And then you may get some assistance from a partner in actually taking the steps. Like you may say, please make this appointment, but that's not the whole job, basically.
Right.
So, and in this article, there was an image of a tweet that was hilarious. Like, it was a couple that had moved out of an apartment. They'd been there for 3 years. And the guy said, I can't believe the soap dispenser never ran out in 3 years. Like, imagine that. How did that happen? So anyway, I definitely identified with this discussion and this research. So, since we talk here about worrying quite a bit, what do you think? Have you experienced it the same way?
Oh, yeah. That's absolutely true. I spend my whole life anticipating problems, going back to my mother saying that if you can think of every bad thing that could happen, then it won't happen. So you better not think of anything. So that's sort of like anticipation in a nutshell. You're just, there's something I should be worrying about. What is it? Could it be this? Could it be that? And every now and then you'll strike on something, and then you can move to the next level. But I'm definitely the only person who does this in this house. My husband does many things, we've discussed here. He cooks, he does laundry. He carries his weight. He's a good guy. What I would, so I don't expect him necessarily to share this burden of worrying with me. I would just like credit for it. I would like to have a job title that expresses that even when I seem like I'm just sitting around looking at social media, I am doing things. Even when I'm, there's never any time off from the worrying job.
No.
And the monitoring and the anticipating. It's constant.
Yeah.
So can I get some props for that, please? And not just a stop worrying. That is not helpful. And it's not going to happen.
Another point that was made in this article is that the cultural definition of a good mother is the person who is doing the worrying and doing this mental labor. And the example was like, if the kid's not prepared for school, no one's going to say, wow, they have a terrible dad. He didn't make sure that they had their stuff. Of course not.
That is a good point.
Yeah, the mother kind of takes the brunt of that. It's always the fault of the mom if somebody, even with, if the child isn't learning to read or learning to doing those developmental things, that it's like, well, where's the mom? What's she doing?
Yeah. Well, the problem is not only that we get that from other people, but that we feel it ourselves, right?
Right. We impose it on ourselves, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I have some friends where the dad takes more of the kind of, because the mom works full time and is the main breadwinner in the family, and so to speak. And so the fathers have taken on more of the roles at home in the house, kind of, in the day-to-day raising of the, getting them to school, making their lunches, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just so amazed at how the moms can not worry about that. Or do they? I don't know. Do they still worry about that? Or are they just content to let their husbands deal with it? Because I feel like we've just been so we've been raised and entrenched in this world of, women have to take care of that stuff. So I'm often just, wow, that's really cool that your husband gets your kids ready in the morning.
And I mean, I was raised by a mom who worked full time and who maybe even worked more hours than my dad. And we always had caregivers. And so it was kind of like a joint effort between my two parents and whatever babysitter to get everything done. But I suspect that the mental labor was still on my mom. I mean, my dad did a lot more than most dads of that time did, for sure.
Yeah. Sounds
but
like
he certainly never cooked, like never. So, I mean, I would cook before he would,
So would your mom still come home and make dinner then?
Yeah. And, once in a while it would be like, we certainly ordered our share of pizzas and, sometimes we'd have just, I think I've mentioned this before, she called it fend night, which is like fend for yourself. We'd do that. Or like I said, I would cook once in a while and we would always have a caregiver like after school, even when I was in high school, because I had younger siblings and people had to be run around to places and stuff. So, but they didn't usually cook dinner. They may have done laundry sometimes, but they didn't cook. So,
wow. Yeah, my mom was at home most of my childhood, so
mine too.
There were some very clear parenting roles in my house. And my mom definitely took on a lot of that.
Yeah.
Most of that worrying.
Yep.
Yes. Which she so
that's where
lovingly
Terry learned
passed on to me.
Everything she knows.
Yes. My mom definitely modeled that style of mothering. And so I have been powerless to resist. But it's annoying. I mean, I wish I could turn it off. And people in my life wish I could turn it off.
Right.
And it's just, there's no switch.
Yeah.
It just goes, on honor is basically what it is.
On and more on.
Yes. On and on and on is what it is. drives everybody crazy. But every now and then you do hit on something that, see, if I hadn't worried about that, it would not have happened. So clearly I must keep worrying.
Right.
But do either of your husbands worry much just about anything?
Yes. I mean,
you have kind of a worrier, right?
My husband does, but it's like the unproductive kind of like, what are we gonna do? That just aggravates me. It doesn't advance anything.
Yeah, well, I do that too, but it's part of my repertoire. But some of my worrying is productive. Oh, dear. Well, of course, we worry about this podcast. Mm-hmm. Are we getting enough
worry
listens?
About our listeners.
Is anybody ever rating us on iTunes? If I don't know, we try so hard, and what could we do? We monitor the situation closely.
Yes.
But for now, I'm worrying about how to get out of this. I guess I could just say that's it for today's round 3. Tune in tomorrow when we'll obsess about learning new things, and then on Friday to see what we've come up with for our Roundabout Roundup picks this week. Find all our episodes at parentingroundabout.com and talk back in the comments there on our Facebook page or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat.
For the ones who get going when the going gets tough, and the ones who know we're tougher together. For the Pathfinders breaking new ground, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as fast access to experts and 24/7 customer support. Because we know you have people depending on you, so you can always depend on us. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This message is sponsored by Amazon.
I want to get back to kissing the cheeks of my grandbabies, making Sunday dinner with a house full of family and lots of laughs.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel, but now there are vaccines. It's okay to have questions. Now get the facts. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccines. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.